I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending May the 19th, where we ended up seeing some optimism, albeit at lower price levels there late in the week. And you know, your feeder cattle market really caught on fire late in the week as it became evident that all the corn's in, because these farmers come out with a vengeance trying to buy some projects for the summer there after they got their corn in the ground, and they really took after some of these cattle, and we'll talk about that later in the report, some of these really hot prices we saw in some of your Midwestern sales there. But you look at the board for last week, live cattle futures looking at August. Monday was down 297, which had a horrible start to the week on the board. Tuesday was down 55. Wednesday we started to see a little recovery, up 57, Thursday up 82, and Friday up $1.40, with August ending the week at 121.05, down just 72 cents for the week. Feeder cattle, Monday started out down 255, Tuesday down $1.57, Wednesday just about steady, down 2 cents, Thursday was up 162, and Friday up $1.10, with August feeder cattle ending the week at 150.45, which was down $1.37 for the week, but not terrible. Your May spot feeder cattle contract is just jostling around, just trying to keep up with what cash is and what the CME index is for the cash settlement here whenever that matures. Your June spot live cattle for fats is sitting at 123.45. Still more than $10 basis there. Your fat cattle trade for last week, 72,200 head sold in the 5-area feeding region through Thursday, and that gets most of them. There may be a few cleanup sales, but probably not much more than 75,000 for a total for the whole week. But live sales range from 134 to 135. 134 a little bit everywhere, but predominantly in the southern plains. 135 late there in the week on Thursday up in the northern plains. 135 was the most prevalent, but that range is $3 to $5 lower on your live price there, mostly $3 to $4 lower. We had dress sales ranging from $210 all the way to $215, which would have been $9 to $14 lower really on in the beef basis there. But a lot of sales, overwhelmingly we had more sales at $212, but many of those sales, probably the majority of those sales, were $212 FOB dressed, which normally your dress sale is delivered to the plant price. So that $212 FOB could easily be $215 depending on where your feed yard sits from the packing plant that you sold to. And on that weighted average is going to be close to $212, which is really only about $8 lower than the weighted average from the previous week. But your slaughter was decent, 602,000 for the week. That's 10,000 less than the previous week, but 12,000 more than the same week a year ago. Your actual dressed weights was probably the biggest news story in the cattle market. Actual dress weights for the week ending May the 6th come out with dressed steer weights at 832 pounds. That was a 17-pound drop from the previous report. So, you know, these cattle may be even greener and lighter than what we were thinking, and we were really starting to think that we'd got them down there, but we had been thinking that these weights were going to bottom out just under 850 pounds. But never thinking about them getting that low this quick. But you look at your box beef cutout values. For the week, last week, your average price for choice carcasses, $248.36, which was up $381 on the average trade, and your selects at $222.98, down $1.56. And look at that spread for your average trade of the week there last week at $25.38 spread. That is huge. These cattle that'll grade choice or better are just worth so much more than your average cattle or your select cattle. And you're seeing that as your packers are coming out and really getting aggressive, paying for quality. Some of your regional packers up in the Midwest are having to come out early and go up and give a little premium. That's where all that $215 was. earlier in the trading session there, with your majors just giving 210 in the northern plains, and those regionals having to pay 215 to go in and get those cattle that'll sure enough grade. But you look at cash feeder cattle prices, and your cash feeder market opened the week steady to $5 lower. But then things just kind of started turning around, and by the end of the week, your feeder cattle market closed $2 to $5 higher, and really on the upswing. We didn't have too many good Friday sales around, but the Thursday sales were on fire. Real-time index on Beef Market Central ended the week at 142.70, which was actually 8 cents higher than the end of last week. So you see that we're starting to gain that, and these early week sales should be a little better than they were, or maybe quite a bit better than they were a week ago, because this market's just gotten that much better. And I talked about these farmers coming in, and don't be mistaken, farmers, true row crop farmers, that's all they want to do is farm. They would rather sit in that tractor, grease it, crawl around on it, wash it, anything. They're just crazy about that equipment. They really don't want to fool with the cattle if they can keep from it. But when you've got all your corn in the ground, and most everybody's got their beans caught up too, well, there's not much to do. Well, when you're looking at corn prices, and when they're putting that in the ground, they're kind of wondering how they're going to pay for all that equipment they're enjoying there, and maybe they want to get in and buy some cattle and feed them, and they've made money at that in the past, and it's a good way to walk some of that corn to town. They've probably got bins on the farm. They've probably got the last load that came out of the field last year still sitting in the trucks. Then you've got to have something to do with that corn, and they're going to feed most of it up. But you look at some of your prices there at big prices. Valentine, Nebraska, kind of a well-advertised quote there, had 141 steers, weighed 621 at 205.50. Did a quick pencil out on those. Those cow steers are costing about $1,275 there, standing in the ring. You've got a lot of freight and expenses on them, but roughly you got to put about 830 pounds on those cattle to get them to weighing 14.5. If you figure that conservatively at 60 cents on the gain, that's going to be another $500, $1,775 by the time you get those cattle fat. That means they'll wash at about $1.23 for fed cattle. Well, your board for late fall, early winter there is under 117. So you've locked in about a $6 loss there. But you know, maybe we can get things turned around between then and you know, if cattle people didn't bet on the come, they wouldn't bet at all. So, but you look at some other prices there. Lamona, Iowa, the market there in south central Iowa can be a hot market at times, especially when they get all their best consigners hooked up, and they sure had them this past Thursday. A lot of my contacts and Facebook friends and stuff were sending me messages on that. You look at one load there, 72 head of steers, weighed 747 at 168.75. That was a Stevenson cattle there, a well-known reputation deal. Another neighbor of mine when I lived in northwest Missouri there, M.L. McCrae, just right over the hill from him, we had totally separate type of operations, because his had one type of reputation and mine had the other. But he had 4 loads. ML always sells at Lamona, has for years and years. He attracts a lot of attention. His cattle always perform, and the buyers come in there to bid on them. He had 4 loads of steers, weighed right around 900 pounds, and bring 147.50. That's an awful good price there. But check out DV Auction for some other activities going on. A lot of sales still going on. Friday they had a Show Me Select Heifer sale out of Joplin Regional Stockyards there. That's That's a herd improvement program there out of the University of Missouri that I was involved with for many years there, and they had a good sale. Those are commercial heifers, not purebred, and they averaged around $1,750 there, and sold some of them on DV auction there. My good friend John Wheeler got his sold on DV auction, and he's consistently one of the top consigners there at the Show Me Select Replacement Heifer program in Southwest Missouri. But from home DV auction office here in Canyon, Texas, we'll talk to you on Wednesday.